Great day, everyone. Ed Dudley here again, coming from Durham, North Carolina, in the United States, and I'm privileged and honored to have an amazingly beautiful co-host. She cheats on me from time to time. She calls me her boyfriend, but we all know that she's got other boyfriends. Hi, Charmaine.
Hello, my Zulu Ed. You are my only Zulu Ed. So yeah, I do
Now,
have other boyfriends.
I am the only Zulu Ed, and we'll share that story somewhere down the line. How I became Zulu Ed. That ain't what my mama named me, and I know ain't a word. It's in our vernacular, but we'll share that story some other time. But I'm feeling good today. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great, actually.
Yeah.
And I always tell you this. I feel incredibly positive, inspired just being in your company. So thank you for being here and hosting this podcast with me.
Yeah, it's an honor. It's an honor. You know, we've interviewed several people so far, but one resounding theme is everyone talks about love and kindness. How the world needs more love and kindness. We had about 4 people back to back that brought up love and kindness. So that's why it was meant to be today for us to bring in this special guest. I've known him for just about 3 years, and his whole mission in life is about love and kindness. And I think people are going to actually love what he's got to say, and what he's doing out there in the world is absolutely amazing. So let's bring in my brother, my friend, Dwayne Garnett of Love's Apparel. Great day, sir. How you feeling today?
Hey, how you doing? I feel great. It's Friday, so that's always great to bring in the weekend, and I get an opportunity to spend time with you, and I get to meet Charmaine. Yay!
Oh, I love you, Dwayne. Welcome to the Ubuntu House. It's a house that we have fun. And what better day to have some fun, right? Friday,
Yes, let's have
great
fun.
day. And as we say, let's get this party started. So,
Hey,
Dwayne,
Let's
okay.
get this party started right.
I would have loved for one of you amazing two men to actually sing us into this particular podcast. Do you want to give it a go? Do you want to drop us something beautiful?
Go ahead, Ed. I would love to hear your voice. It's an
I don't know.
amazing
You
voice.
hearing my voice? Mary had a little lamb. Her wife.
Damn, guys, I
Uh,
thought you had more spunk than that, right? And I thought you were going to drop it. I
I'm
can't
spunkless
understand
today.
two talented vocalists are feeling afraid to actually share this with the world. What a gift it would be. But anyway, we'll get to this in the
what the
afternoon.
world needs now is love, sweet love. That's
Damn.
the only thing what's the words?
There's
There's too
Oh,
little
too little. Go ahead, boy.
wow, that was beautiful. Thank you. I mean, I feel so blessed. And you have a beautiful voice. Thank you, Dwayne. Thank you. Love is
What
accountable.
a great way to introduce who you are and what your mission is today. So, just the floor is yours, man. Go ahead and share. Who you are and what you're doing out there.
Okay, well, I am J. Dwayne Garnett. I am the founder of Love is a Parable, which is a nonprofit. Our whole vision is to bring people together through love. And the way that we believe doing that is through our mission of providing value based education, insight, reflective storytelling, and to promote social awareness. So when we talk about love, we actually have our own working paradigm that's built on the self-congruity theory by Dr. Sergey or Sergey. I want to make sure I'm pronouncing his name right, but I think it's Sergey, where he believed he was a forensics marketer. Well, he is a forensics marketer, and he believed that people make purchasing decisions based on their personality types. Well, we evolved that thinking just a bit and said, no, people make decisions based on the things that they value, but also these values shape the way that they see themselves and others. So what we do is use this value-based concept to show people what their values are. We don't ever try to change their values, but we want to let them know how these values really do shape a lot of the interactions that they're having in their lives. And if they want to alter certain outcomes, it may need to be an adjustment of the things that they have of value.
Oh, that's powerful. So it's creating an awareness within people as to what their value is. Often
Right,
people are blinded, right?
exactly.
And with a,
Go ahead, Charmaine. Go ahead.
and the fact is, with a heightened level of awareness, people are more conscious about how they respond, how they buy, and how they influence the world. Is that been your
Um,
observation?
yes, and what we have found a lot of times is that the one thing that you think that you value is not truly your value. It's actually a deferred value that we use to cover up the true things that I value. Like I could say I value order. I want things to be in a certain way, but if we peel back that onion, we'll realize of us, our deepest and most cherished values, we protect them. We have what is called the sacred box theory, where have you ever had a conversation with someone, Charmaine, and it seemed like the conversation was going well, but you said one word and it seemed like they went the total opposite way, or they shut down, or they're like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Well, what you did in that moment is went near their sacred box. And for a lot of us, because we don't know what our values are, because we got so caught up in protecting them, so we protect them and we shut down, not realizing it is a value that feels threatened. So if we knew what that value is, we could say in that moment, hey, Charmaine, when you said this, it made me feel, or I felt this way. So that's what we want them to do, is really identify what are those true values or those hidden values that lie dormant until they feel threatened. And why do we have to overcompensate with the protection?
So would it be fair to say you expose people's true traits that they hide away from the real world?
One, well, it's not even that they hide away from the real world, because a lot of times it's things that we do, we're just not conscious of it.
Okay.
It's really bringing that awareness part. That's the part that's more important to me, because we operate in a lot of spaces. And one of the things that we do when we're operating, for instance, in the diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging space, is that we make sure that they have an understanding that cultural diversity is not just the appreciation of varied cultures, but it's the awareness of those cultures. And so what we want people to do is know that you have a variety of values. Just knowing that these values exist has nothing to do with it. We want to make sure that you are aware of these values and the impact that these values have, not only on your life, but anybody that you come in contact with. And you're doing it every day. You know what I mean? Like for me, I know when I get in front of certain individuals, if I don't smile, it will appear that I'm a mean person or I'm stuck up. Well, I'm kind of conceited a little bit. So if somebody say, when I first met you, I thought you were stuck up, I'm like, well, fair assessment, you know, and I don't get threatened by that, because I know that that's an error. But when you're unaware of your values, a lot of times it puts you in a position to always feel attacked. And so we want to take that lens off so you don't feel attacked. You become really aware. And if you're okay with the outcome of these values, so be it. If you want to change it, we can help you change it.
That's powerful, actually. So yeah.
So how'd you get started? What was the genesis for Love is a Parable and moving in this direction?
So you want the long version or the abbreviated version? Tell me which version you want.
I want the version that is most impactful for you.
Well, how it actually started was in 2014. I was a dean for a university, and I was over two campuses, and those campuses closed. So I had an option to take a job either in Texas, which was 16 hours away from my hometown, or take one in Holly Springs, North Carolina, which was 3 hours and 15 minutes from where I was living at the time. So naturally, I took 3 hours and 15 minutes. Why? Because I was scared, and I don't care what you people have to say about that. Yes, I was scared. But anyway, I moved up to North Carolina, only thinking that it would be temporary because I'm like, I was at that time what I thought at the highest level in my career. So I was like, I'm going to get a job. I did not want to deal with these North Carolinians. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I went home to Columbia, South Carolina, like every weekend, you know. And what ended up happening over time is that those 6 months turned into 7 years. But during that first time, which was so pinnacle, and this is what a lot of people don't realize, is that I was at a place because we had just bought a new home in Columbia, South Carolina. It was about 2 years old at that time, and we could not rent out the home because it was in the county, not in the city. So we literally had to get state approval to if we could rent the house. In addition to renting the house, because of, see, people don't know about this part, because we got an FHA grant, they have a 3-year clause, and we were right there on the 3-year clause, which means I also had to get approval from their state administrator as well. So needless to say, I was paying for a whole house that I was not living in, because you got to keep your insurance. So you got to keep things on if you want to keep your insurance on your house. So, and it has to be lived in. And a lot of people don't know these things when you're buying your first home. And so, well, that's how it is in America. I don't know how it is over there in Africa, but I'm gonna tell you this: in America, they do some things like this where it's like I was trapped, and I didn't know that Holly Springs, North Carolina, was 2 times more expensive than Columbia, South Carolina. So for a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, my mortgage was like $730. So that same amenities living in Holly Springs, I was paying $1,600
U.S. dollars.
Yes. So you could, and that was just the rent. We ain't even talking about utilities. So it got to a point where I was exhausting the savings that we had. Our church would send us money, and something would happen with the house. So it got to the point we were like, "Don't send us any more money. Don't send us any more money. I don't care." It was like, "Family, don't do nothing because y'all making it worse on us." And one night I remember having only 60 cents in the account. And I kissed my wife on the forehead, and I kissed the kids, and I went outside to really pray. Well, that was my intent. But it really was just me crying. Like, I was just crying. You ever had that good snot cry where it's like your nose running and it's just horrible? That was that cry. And you say, like, "Oh God," a couple of times, "Oh Lord," just to feel like you're praying, but you're really not praying. And so,
Did I tell you I love you? I do.
and so after I got through snotting and crying, it came to me through prayer is that you're looking for seeds when the seed can be quantified. And so I got up and I said, "Okay, what does that mean?" And I began to study, of course, the scriptures and things like that. But I also just began to study. And as these random thoughts were coming and things like that, I found myself hashtagging love is a parable. Fast forward to two years later, it was different. I was in a place, no, 3 years later, I was in a place where in 2017, where I was at a new place. I was an executive director for the company that took me in. I was like making nice little money. I was like, I want to give back. And so I wanted to do kind of like a kindness project where you just find random people and say, "Hey, I'm gonna treat you to lunch," or something like that. And my wife at the time was like, "Yeah, I love this idea. Let's do this." And she never really said she wanted to do anything because she was kind of more in the background. And we started it. At the time, I was in a play. So we just started like, "Yeah, this is what we want to do." We started ordering promo stuff. And then I was in a play. And we gifted my now friend Angie Staley one of the shirts, one of the promo shirts, because we said in 6 months we got to get stuff together. We're going to launch this great organization. This is the plan. And Angie ended up wearing the shirt that night, which we didn't ask. And so the next day we woke up to like 500 phone calls about what is Love is a Parable? How can I get a
Oh,
shirt?
that's
And all of that.
fabulous.
Yeah, one would think, but we started 6 months early. We weren't prepared, so we had to establish us as a nonprofit, get all the legal paperwork together, get a website up, shoot a promotional video. It was so many things we did in the first 6 months. But Love is a Parable literally started by accident on its own. And it wasn't until I started going through paperwork that I realized that I really started Love is a Parable actually in 2007. And I had the paperwork and the documents filed with the state of South Carolina, but something was telling me it was undeveloped. And this was that undeveloped continuation from 2007 that didn't manifest into 2017. And
It's
so
such,
that's how we started.
it's quite a beautiful story, actually. You went from crying, praying, and then something
Action.
within like spoke to you to be able to start this mission, actually. And
Yeah,
because, in my opinion, the world needs more awareness, because with heightened awareness, you're more conscious to know yourself and what is it that you can put into the world and what is it that you do want to put into the world. And
right.
clearly, you are an advocate for love, which is a beautiful thing. And that's why I connect with you and with my boyfriend, Zulu Ed, because we are like-minded, spirited
So you do
people.
realize he's gonna probably start calling me Zulu Ed now, right?
I
I'm gonna
promise you I
probably,
won't
I'm
ever
gonna
call you
probably,
that.
I'm gonna probably get some messages. Yeah, okay.
I don't see that in
Well,
my future.
Zulu Ed, no, because he's mine. So get real, right? So you'll find
Right.
something else.
You can
Yeah,
have that
I
whole
have.
part.
Thank you. I'm not going to fight about that with you today. So
Right.
no, I
You
love
win
this.
hands down.
Thank you. No, I'm quite like I looked at your website and I looked at all the I'm going to call it gifts that you actually have to gift this world, right? I mean, and I'm going to say thank you for the amazing logo that you gifted Ed and I really love it. It's a beautiful piece of work, and you're clearly very creative. Um, so you love words, right? And words to me are is power on many levels because it defines who I am, and it defines what I take into the world. Speak to me a little bit more about that, your love for words, and how you utilize that as a tool for gifting yourself and the world.
In seventh grade, I was actually in a special ed class, special ed, in special ed class, and because they thought that I had a reading disability, but they wasn't really sure because I would read fluently, and it,
Just want to stop you for people from South Africa, special ed in the US. Here we call it special needs. I like special ed better. So it's the same thing, different terminology. Okay, sorry
yeah,
to interrupt.
special ed is short for special education. For those who do have special needs, whether it is behavioral or mental. Um, and so they thought that it was a reading disability. And we found out, I had an amazing teacher, Miss Akpusani. Um, she found out that it was not a reading issue, it was a comprehension issue. And so in seventh grade, I was on a fifth grade reading level. But after taking Miss Akpusani's class and her working with me, I went from a fifth grade reading level to a ninth grade reading level in 1 year. So the way, and so it's not like I was healed of my comprehension disability, but it taught me a new way to look at things. Um, and so I realized that words were so different. So I spent time with words after that from seventh grade because it was so many things that I lost because I didn't understand words. And so now I realize how beautiful words are. From there, the next year, I actually started writing poetry and speaking, and I got into chorus. Nope, in seventh grade, I got into chorus. And so I realized that words can do so many things. Like, it can be poetry 1 minute, it can be a beautiful song, or it can tell a great narrative. Words can move, and a lot of times people don't realize that words are not just what are spoken, they're also what are thought, what are felt. And so when I began to fall in love with words, I just really wanted people to understand there's so many things we miss because we rush past the words, especially in American culture, because we're taught that a group of words come together to make a complete thought. When in a lot of our older languages, a word alone is a complete thought, and it's the relationship of those letters that created that. And so my comprehension disorder would always say, well, why did they choose that word? And I would get lost in the various meanings of that word. And a lot of times we have cheapened the meaning of a word. And so therefore I didn't understand like why this word was used. So now I use words as a way to empower, but are also a way to unlock, but also know that a lot of times we are the product of words that were sown into our
Absolutely.
lives,
Yeah.
good or bad.
Absolutely, actually. Words have the power to break you or build you. And it depends on how you want to actually move yourself forward. I mean, so yeah, there is power in in singular words, not just complete sentences. That was like awesome. I love that. I also love the fact that you had a very supportive teacher that was willing to invest in you to be able to see that growth. So
Mhm.
hats off to her. What was the name? Akalsami.
Miss Akpusani.
Apasani. Okay, it's an interesting name. She was an Indian, was she?
No, I want to say her husband was African because it's APO hyphen SANI.
Okay, Apasani. Okay.
I think it's APKO
Okay,
hyphen.
don't worry, darling. We'll
Yeah,
be
I'm gonna look.
spending
I'm gonna look it up and be like, no,
Now,
it was
now
wrong.
he's
I was
curious.
wrong.
curiosity is good, actually. Heightened awareness, curiosity, continually asking questions is the power to be able to unlock that hidden talent within all of us.
So Jay, I know you have a mental health background as well, and you know
Was he
the
insinuating that you're mentally retarded?
Probably.
no, I would never do that.
He would never do that publicly.
Never ever do
I
that. I
love the
would not
dynamic
say
between
that
you two.
ever. I would never say that in life. We'll talk about some of that other stuff later. But I do know that you have a mental health professional as well. How have you fused your mental health background with love is a parable?
Um, and I guess I got to speak to, and I don't know if you guys have kind of had this challenge. Have you ever felt like there are so many things you want to do or can do, and there are a lot of great opportunities that may be presented to you, but it seemed like it doesn't fit all. Like I remember I love teaching. I taught for several years on a collegiate level. I loved it. But what about my creative side? What about, I like to do graphic work. I like to do a lot of other things that I like to sing. I like to act. I like to dance. But I can't do that all the time in the classroom. So I would get bored very easily. And when I started my career in mental health, my undergrad is actually in therapeutic recreation. But I never left higher ed, and I worked with adolescents who had psychosocial and drug addiction disorders. So basically, these were the youth that committed crimes, but because they had a mental diagnosis, instead of going to jail, they would go to one of these facilities. And needless to say, I was getting beat up every day by them kids, for that little bit of money. I was like, I'm not doing this. But the truth change was I had a charge nurse who felt because she was the charge nurse, she could administer medicine in a way that she deemed appropriate based off of the relationship she had with the patients. And she was just a horrible manager, just horrible.
Is that legal?
No, it's not legal, but she can, if you know how to say things and finesse it, it can be technically legal. And I remember getting so livid that I went and got my master's in health services administration. And I said, well, I want to teach people so that they don't be like her. So that's what I started to do. I got my master's when I was 24 years old, and I started teaching on a collegiate level, where I was teaching healthcare managers, and I was teaching healthcare office, and of course, I also taught medical law and ethics, which were some of my favorite courses. Then I went back into healthcare and did a couple of other things as far as being a clinical counselor, behavioral interventionist, and then becoming a qualified mental health professional with the state of North Carolina through
That's
a certain
impressive.
community therapy. But I never
Interesting.
left higher ed, which is the funny thing. I never left higher ed at the same time. But there were these weird bottlenecks, either in healthcare or education, that I didn't like. And people always wondered when I was a manager, why is it that I had the highest retention with my team, I had the highest retention with my students, I had the highest GPAs with my students. They always excelled. And when I was in mental health, they always wondered. They gave me the most difficult clients, and I never had problems with them. We'll be taking pictures together. We'll be going shopping. We'll be doing everything together. And they're like, why aren't they showing you the behaviors that they show everybody else? And I didn't know that I was using a value-based approach. And so what Love is a Parable afforded me an opportunity to do is to do everything that I couldn't do in the healthcare arena and everything that I couldn't do in the education arena. So I started an organization and developed a curriculum. And the interesting thing about the curriculum, I thought I was going to be writing a book on poetry at first. And it ended up developing and evolving into a training manual of helping people identify love. And so what I got out of that is when you yield to your purpose, what you were created to do and to be, your purpose will take care of you. It will manifest in a way that you can do everything that you were created and designed to be. So in Love is a Parable, I'm able to do the graphic work. In Love is a Parable, I'm able to act because I can make my own videos, write my own script. I can edit my own videos. I can take my own pictures. I don't really need another person to really help me do anything to run Love is a Parable, but it is a desire of fellowship where I allow people to help us grow and help us build. But for me, it's just me being able to do my purpose. And I was able to do that uncompromising. And so I'm able to infuse every area, every talent, every skill that I have. And that's what makes Love is a Parable so effective, because it is purpose driven and purpose manifested.
It's awesome, actually. It's like you got to understand what is it that you want to do, created an organization that's able to help people. And what I'm hearing is you know yourself pretty well, having gone through all of those experiences, and you're using your experiences, your academic knowledge, as well as your practical experience to pour into your new organization. Because right now, in addition to love, and Ed and I actually chatted, there's a heightened level of mental health issues in men and women. And what we even chatted about in previous podcasts, there's a desire for people understanding the values and the importance of self-love to help that healing from a mental health perspective. So what you're doing is phenomenal. And the manual that you put together, there's an absolute need for right now. There's no doubt about it. So this conversation is going to create that aware. Do you do training only face to face, or do you do it online as well?
We do it online and everything. See, for about 5, almost 6 years, I was over in online school. So I got so used to doing that, because the funny thing is I'm actually an introvert too. So
Really?
online presence worked beautifully
Really?
for me. Man, I thrive. Put me by myself and see the works I do. Um, but yeah, so we offer in-person trainings and workshops, and we also offer things virtually as well. We also have the asynchronous learning version of our love advocacy training, which is our bedrock training. Everything is built off of our love advocacy training, but we also offer customized curricula for those individuals or organizations that have a specific need. That's why we do an assessment as well.
So I
Okay.
am a certified love advocate. I took his course, I think 2 years
Did
ago.
he pass?
2 years.
I
So
barely. So he graded on a curve. That's how I passed. So it was a struggle.
I
Who's the
thought you were
struggle?
a natural lover. What happened?
Shh. My wife might be listening to this. Let me stop. so, so I love everything. Love is a parable. I love what you're trying to do because you started out with a song. What the world needs right now is love, sweet love, and it's so true. I mean, I don't care what corner of the earth that you go. I don't care what ethnicity or race you are. At our core, we all want to be loved. And I think if we actually loved others as much as we say we love ourselves, I think the world will be a better place. But there's a lot of people struggling to actually even love themselves right now.
That's the challenge right now.
Yeah, so that's a big challenge. So how are you, as an organization and an individual, trying to show people how to love internally first before they can take it out externally?
Well, for a lot of people, we start with, I think that that's where the reflective storytelling come in. And a lot of times, this is what makes it a challenge because we have become so linear in thought that we lack diversity in approach, that we think that, oh, when I meet with individuals, say, well, how are we going to deliver this content? We're going to deliver the content based on the need. And every individual is different.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say that they are different, but the one thing that we have in common is for many of us, who we are or who we believe we are right now in this very moment is not who we organically are.
Okay.
Who we believe we are is a manifestation of interactions that we've had, and we've developed a concept, so we perceive this concept to be us. So I
Okay.
don't know if it's a struggle to love ourselves versus a struggle to accept ourselves. And so we take them on that journey to say, okay, we all have an expectation of who we are, but who are we organically? And that's what we also talk about. After we help people identify their values, and we say, well, your values shape who you are, well, there is a concept of who you are. And if my organic self, who I am, who I was naturally created to be, and my ideal self, how the world perceives me or how I would like for the world to perceive me, are in conflict, it affects my self-esteem.
It does.
So when it affects my self-esteem, the more at war it is, the lower the self-esteem. The more balanced it is, the higher the self-esteem. Here's the trick, though. The lower the self-esteem, the higher the standards we project. Because standards are put in place to protect things that we value. Standards are nothing more than expectations that we've created around certain scenarios, so we will know how to respond if that happens.
You lost me a bit there. I say I lost you a little bit there, but I know what we're driving towards.
Tell me where you lost. Tell me where you lost, and we come back.
You said about standards. The lower the
Yep.
self-esteem, the higher the standards.
Yep. Because
Is it aspiration to compensate for your low self-esteem, or
exactly. Because the standards are there to protect you. We project them as if they're for an individual when they're not. How do
yeah,
we know this? We have already decided who we're going to forgive, even right when an offensive happened. Why? My children are totally disrespectful sometimes, and I forgive them in that moment. But yet there are some people who are disrespectful that I choose not to forgive. Why? Because I've already made up in my mind who is worthy of forgiveness and who's not. But what I project on them is saying, oh, you disrespect me, you better treat me like blah, blah, blah. No, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do anything else in this world. It's all about my actions and what I want to do. So when you understand who you are, you don't have standards because you realize you can't control people, and you realize that you will navigate through this life whether people do things or not. And you got to be okay with that because that weighs you down. See, this is how we end up carrying weight of other people, because we're sitting there really trying to control a situation, control a scenario. And,
you
parents
can't.
and yes,
You can't. You cannot control anybody. You can control, and you said it beautifully. You can
Right.
control your actions, your perspective, and the way you choose to navigate any situation. That's the only thing you can control.
Yeah.
Um, and beautifully stated. You're quite smart, eh? Masters in mental health,
He's okay.
creative director, a wonderful singer. So you're multifaceted and multi-talented. I mean, I see you're also a toastmaster.
What do I call you, Jay?
Your favorite brother.
No, Jay. What else I call you?
Renaissance man.
So he's
Ooh,
a modern day Renaissance man. I
okay.
mean, there's a lot of things that he can do. But I want to back up a little bit because I'm talking about Jay. Met him a little while ago. Like I said, met him 3 years ago, and he always, from when we got into a space where we knew each other, he would say, "I love you, bro." The very first time, it was a little strange to me because as a man being brought up, we didn't really say "I love you" to other men. We would say "I love you" to women, but we would rarely say "I love you" to other men. I'm talking about, you might say it to your dad, you might say it to your son, but rarely did you say it to other men. And he kept saying it. He taught me that it was okay to say it to another man, "I love you, bro." So we literally consistently, when we communicate, when we're ending our communications, it's like, "I love you." So I appreciate you helping me grow in that area. And the reason why I talked about that, you have another initiative that is something that you do every Thursday night, East U.S. time. Do you want to share what that is and what you're doing?
Yeah, we
Well,
started.
before you answer him, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for living the words you speak. I mean, you started love as a parable, and what I'm hearing is you give love generously, irrespective of who it is, and the world needs more of that. So thank you. Why do you call him J? What does J stand for?
Go
Jay.
ahead, tell her. Go ahead, tell her. Go ahead, tell her. Or you want me to tell her? Because there's a
My
story.
birth name is Jeremy, but no
Jeremy.
one calls me that.
Jeremy. Your
Okay.
mama
And
does. Your mama
no, she
does.
doesn't. They call me Jerry.
Okay,
So
Jeremy, no, I
yeah,
wouldn't call
I
you
hate
Jeremy.
that
I call you
name.
Dwayne. No, I'll call you
So
Dwayne.
I just made it easy for everybody, and you call me Jay.
Okay, I'll call you Jay.
Yep.
Okay, good. Now you can answer the question. I just wanted to say thank you for being consistent and pouring
Yep.
love into
Thank
the world.
you. No problem. And interesting that Ed said that because my mom will tell you I didn't grow up in an environment where we said I love you either.
Oh,
Um, it seems that, and Tara said that she's one of our now board members, and she's been supporting us for a very long time. And she said it seems that you always your life mission or your life assignment comes from the things that you lack yourself. And I thought about that and I said, wow, that makes sense because your purpose is built on your insecurities. Have you ever noticed the things that you're great at, you're not called to do that, but the things you're uncomfortable with, it seems like people keep wanting you to do that. You're like, I don't want to do that. So
I
I
grew
was
up in a home where we always, up until now, my dad like love you. We never say put down the phone without saying I love you. So we always we had issues as a family. Don't get me wrong, but love was in overflow. So sometimes you go towards your insecurities, or you do work in that space.
mhm,
Not all of the time. Sometimes it's just because that's all you know, and you realize the power of love. That's why you want to gift the world, because if you do love yourself, the world would be a bit kinder on many levels. So yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And I was actually molested at 11. So
Oh,
I
I'm
don't like
sorry.
I don't like men I don't like men. I don't like touching them. I don't want to be near them. Um, and so all of that was weird for me. And so when you understand that at the core of who you are is love, you began to see love in other individuals as well. So you speak to that love. So when I say that I love you, I'm speaking to the love that is you, not the things that you've done, not the exterior and all of that, but I'm speaking to the core of you and I connect with that. And so I made it a mission to make sure that no matter where I go, I speak to that light that is within us because that light casts out that darkness. And So I made that a mission, and it's funny. So many people don't say I love you until they meet me, and now we all say I love you when we get off the phone. I love you in interactions, and it's some of the it's some of the ones you least expect. I remember being in downtown Raleigh, and a dude from New Jersey was like, "Yo, Mr. Love is a parable," and ran across the street talking about, "I love you." And I was like, "I don't even know you, sir," but it
I love you too.
happens. It happens because love spreads, light spreads. But adding to what Ed was asking about is on Thursday night, Cordell and I, who's one of our board members as well, and one of my dearest friends, we started an initiative known as Brother Empowerment. And it initially started out to combat misogyny, gender inequality, um, domestic violence, and so many other things that women face. So we were like, only men can really combat these things. So let us talk about them and hope that something will change. But after a while, it evolved to where it's a conversation of helping men and their families and those who are connected to them. So women can participate in this as well to help them to break through without breaking. You can bust through those barriers, those things those social constructs that have restricted you or confined you, and now position yourself in a place through awareness and through conversation and dialogue, to make a greater impact. And so, because of Brother Empowerment, we have viewership in over 86 countries. We don't know
That's
how
fabulous.
that happened, but over 86 countries, people view Brother Empowerment. They tune in. We have friends all around the world because of Brother Empowerment. And there are some people who strictly just know us through Brother Empowerment. Um, but it has been a blessing, but it was one of those things that I was most uncomfortable with doing. I didn't know how we were going to carry it out, but it's been going strong for now. We're going into our fourth year with Brother Empowerment.
Oh, is it? That's fabulous. It's such a necessary topic, though, to be able to take out to the world. I mean, it does some work in that space. I do some work in the space. It's a global issue, the gender, the inequality, the violence. I have to say, I'm sorry you had to go through such a terrible ordeal at the age of 11. I can only imagine what it feels or felt for you. So I hope just so much love for you, and thank you for sharing. It's not an easy thing to do, especially in a platform as open as this. So yeah,
Yes.
I love you.
I love
Well,
you as well.
my boyfriend Zulu Ed, I mean, he accuses me of having all of these affairs with so many men.
Go
It's like
watch the other
everything.
recordings. Go watch the other recordings where men are on. And she's like, I love you. My boyfriend
I
here, my
love
boyfriend there,
everybody.
my boyfriend
And
here, my
I
boyfriend
love
there.
everybody. I have so much love to give. And if more of us can give all of this love, our world will be so much better. Trust me.
Trust me, I agree. A
Yeah.
thousand percent.
So I want you to go back to early teen, Jay, and I want you to think everything that you know right now, everything that you've learned right now. You're sitting. There's a commercial with LeBron James, and for those that on the planet don't know who LeBron James is,
So
he's a
weird.
famous basketball player. But there's a commercial where he's sitting on the bed talking with his teenage self, telling his teenage self that you're going to make it to the NBA, you're going to do this, you do that. It's a great commercial. But Jay, I want you to sit on that proverbial bed next to your early teen self. What would you tell yourself?
That's funny because I was just talking about this with Cordell, and that is I would tell myself not to fight it, to embrace it. Um, every time you feel the urge to fight, just release and embrace. Embrace everything because it's going to work out for you.
That's powerful,
It's
actually.
good. It's good.
It's about just acceptance. It's getting to a point of acceptance. And once you get to that stage, it's easy to just navigate your journey ahead. Because
Yep.
if you don't, acceptance is the first step for change, actually. So, power to you. And thank you for saying it.
That was good. That was good. So, um, we have listeners and viewers from across the globe that you may not know Jay. He's very deep, a Renaissance man, but he started an initiative, which is a little funny to me because I'm a little older, And Charmaine, do you remember the payphone booths?
Oh yeah.
So he started this thing called phone boothing, where he has people all over the globe looking for phone booths and sending him pictures of phone booths that they see, because you really can't find one anymore because everyone has cell phones and all this. People from across the globe are taking pictures of phone booths and sending him on and tagging him on social media, talking about phone boothing. Hey, I found a phone in this country. I found a phone here.
Aw.
People are on vacation. They see a phone booth and they're snapping pictures of phones with their kids. So no matter where you are, if you see a phone booth wherever you are, see, he's getting excited about it now. Look at him. Take a picture of that phone booth and tag Jay.
I will do that.
Thank
I
you.
know. I'll take the picture and I'll WhatsApp it to you. Tagging all of those things. I'm not really good at it, actually. I'm terrible.
Please do. But a lot of what we do, because we do value-based education, we find ways to bring people together. And we
Okay.
want to bring people together that don't know each other or haven't. Like last month we did it was National Women's History Month. And so instead of honoring those women who have, transitioned and moved on, what about those women who are making history every day who don't get an opportunity to be in the spotlight? So we went through and honored, like, it was like about 35
I've seen some
women.
of your LinkedIn posts, actually. I was impressed with that. Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
did indeed. I did, yeah.
And some of those women really became friends just off of that. And I'm saying that's what it's about. And for me, I was going through a low moment and I heard a house phone ring and it brought peace. And so I was like, oh my goodness, what was it? It took me back to 1992 when I was 12 years old. And things just started to move. And so what I realized is that, wow, I started sharing it for me and other people started doing the thing. And it became a thing that now people, anytime they see a phone booth, they're not only thinking about Jay, they're thinking about love. And so they're like, yeah, that's the thing. You know what I mean? The same thing happened when we did the Healing Forward initiative. Meaning no matter what happens to you, don't stop and be in that sickness or be in that thing that is uneasy. You heal and you move forward. Healing is a lifestyle. You know what I mean? And we want to maintain that lifestyle. So you have some people who just connected off of Healing Forward. So we want to find value-based ways to bring people together because, let's be honest, in this day and age, any type of real issue, if someone can figure out how to make $1 out of it, it becomes a cheapened marketing scheme.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to remove that out of the way because people still need to resolve conflict, but also find ways to come together. And we're going to do that through a value-based approach.
You think differently, which is a beautiful thing. Your approach is different to most people, which is a beautiful thing. The challenge with that, if I may use the word challenge, is people will find it initially taken aback to connect with it. And once you continue the process, do what you're actually doing, people will eventually start following and get on board. So don't stop what you're doing, because sometimes you feel like, nobody's getting me. You have those moments. Don't let that moment take you off your game, because you're on the right track.
Yep.
Yeah.
You actually spoke to one of our biggest challenges because there isn't an organization that is doing what we're doing. It's hard for people to place it in their minds, but also when people experience love as a parable, because we, uncover some really intimate areas. When we uncover that area, people are indebted to love as a parable. They care about us, they support us, but they struggle with saying, oh, this is a great organization. Let me tell you what they did, because telling what we did will also expose one of their areas that they're most vulnerable about. So we struggle with that, like, we helped you, which we appreciate. We're not doing this for the money, but we are a nonprofit. And if you want us to continue to help people, you have to either sow into the organization or find ways that people can without telling your whole story. So we have a lot of great supporters, but that's one of our biggest challenges is that people struggle with advocating with it publicly, like how it changed their lives, because it's so many intimate details of their life that they don't want everybody to know. And we keep your secrets. We will keep your secrets. And there are some gatekeepers who will try to suggest we change or tweak certain things to have access to additional funding. And to be honest, we can't change the integrity or the mission vision of this organization because it will no longer be love is a parable. If I change one word or if I adjust the way that I do something, it will change the whole mission and drive and the spirit of love is a parable. We have to stay organic to what we were created to. And if that means we don't get access to your funding, that doesn't mean we won't be funded.
Sure.
And so we have to help people understand that our bedrock is also integrity. And if we can't operate with integrity, we shouldn't operate at all. But you spoke to really one of our biggest challenges. Like, we have a lot of great exposure in a lot of those things, but because there isn't a comparable, people try to put us in a box, or people struggle to explain how we are and how we have positively impacted their lives.
It's not just your challenge. It is a challenge when you actually help people with the most emotive stuff. So openly displaying a connection exposes them, so they prefer not to connect. And silence is okay. But if they think bigger than that, they would find ways. And if there's genuine willingness, they'll find ways to support you and still protecting the identity. So my plea to the people that you're helping and anybody else that's listening, and my tagline on Each One Hold One is, we support, pay it forward, right? And paying it forward is either pay it forward to somebody else or Each One Holds One, or organizations like you, an appreciation for the support that they got, either referring, exposing, talking about it in ways, and just because you would not be able to exist and do the good work you're doing without, and the bottom line is, funding and money is important to sustain organizations and be able to help more people. So it's a necessary contribution, but not everybody's willing to. It's easy to accept the kindness and accept the value, but there's a reluctance to actually give back in ways. So I'm just trying, the point I'm making is, whoever's listening to this podcast, understand that when help is given, find ways of helping back.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So Jay, you already know how I feel about you and feel about the organization. Charmaine, do you want to say something?
I do actually want to ask a question.
Go ahead, ask another question.
You're a dad, right, of two beautiful daughters. I did see a picture on Facebook, I think, or somewhere when we connected and became friends recently.
Yep.
How would you define success as a dad? What do you see as? How would you measure your level of success where your daughters are concerned? I'm a daughter, so I'm just curious to know.
You know, that's a good question. And what I'm finding is I measure my success not when they're most happy, but when they're most upset, how they respond to things. And I've been able to see both of my daughters when they're angry, either at me, a decision that I've made, or something. It's a way that they respond that shows me that we're doing an okay job. So it's not how many times you put a smile on their face. It is some of the times that when they are upset with you, that's when you find out what values you instilled, if they truly are reciprocated. And so I'm saying that now, and I guess because I have 10 and 12-year-olds, and they're both preteens, and they're going through every type of mood swing you could have, and they're all ready. animated to begin with. So I'm getting a lot of that. So it's good to see those things manifest. I love to see the seeds that were sown. So mine is definitely what that harvest look like when things aren't easy.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. J. Dwayne Garnett, global love advocate, you are on a world stage and the world is quiet, hanging on the edge of their seat, waiting for the words to come out of your mouth. You got 30 seconds or so to give a message. What are you going to say?
This is your opportunity to not invest in a thing or invest in an organization, but an opportunity to invest in you. You have robbed yourself of so many chances to unveil yourself. How many other times are you going to live life unfulfilled? Yes, you've had happy moments, but what about fulfillment? When you connect with who you are organically, you connect to a substance that is far beyond any value, far beyond anything that you can comprehend. And you deserve the liberty to be and exist you. And so I would like to give you an invitation to welcome you to yourself finally. And you can visit me at loveisaparable.com to figure out how.
Wow, man. Did you think about that right now?
Yeah, I didn't know what I was
Because I'm sitting here, I'm like, wait a minute. It's like, man, I like prepped him for this. No, that was a question I just thought of, and I'm like, okay, wow, that was good, bro. I appreciate you. I value the work that you're doing, and I'll reference the song that you sang earlier. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. Thank you for sharing the space with us. Thank you for coming to the Ubuntu House. We're all about trying to inspire people and ignite humanity. And some of the things that you said will inspire individuals across the globe. So I thank you. Charmaine, you have any final words?
I do actually. It was incredible. I love your singing voice. I love your poetry voice. I love the words that come out of your mouth. I love the fact that you do live love. Because so most people just say they do, but they actually don't. And having gone through what you have, it's just incredible that you've worked through your challenges to be able to give love into the world on the level that you do. So Dwayne, Mr. J, my boyfriend, my new boyfriend.
There she goes. More boyfriends. She's added. How some people collect stamps. Some people collect cards. She collects boyfriends. I'm just letting you know.
Ed, I collect girlfriends also. I tell the girls I love them too. I love everybody.
You call them girlfriends too? The boyfriends and girlfriends? I don't feel special right now.
No, you are my favorite boyfriend.
I'm going to go into my sacred box.
No, you're not. So Dwayne, the point I'm making is and I'm going to use Ramon's word, keep doing you and just be true to yourself and just pour more love into the world. Don't let anybody or any organizations or institution to get you off your game. There's a need for what you're doing. It's just getting out the message in a way that makes sense to the people that are trying to make sense of what love is all about.
Agreed.
I love you.
Love you too.
Thank you. And Ed only has the kindest. He has so much respect for you. He speaks very, very highly of you. So, and that's why you're actually here, because we're very selective as to who we bring onto this platform. So thank you for all that you do, and lots of love and light to you.
Love you guys.
Thank you, my brother. I love you.
Love you too.
And you know it. So this has been another Ubuntu Connected Conversation podcast, video podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Jay, one last thing. How can the people find you?
You can find me at loveisaparable.com is the best way. All social media and any other connection will be there on the website. So go to loveisaparable.com and you can get connected.
I love it. On that note, we will end wishing you all love, light, all the best. And if there's any way that any of us can serve you, please don't hesitate to reach out. So take care, everybody.